My husband and I had just moved into a house right behind the home that my parents lived in. They owned this house as well and wanted to rent the space to us to be close to them since I was expecting my first child. Before I lived in this house, my older brother lived there. I was a teenager and he had just moved in with his pregnant wife. I remember shortly after they moved in, she confided in me that she thought the house was haunted because she would see the closet doorknob rattle. At the time, I didn't believe it was paranormal. I just thought maybe she was imagining things. I had completely forgotten about this until after what happened to me. Shortly after the birth of our son, my husband was switched to the graveyard shift at work, leaving me alone at night with our newborn and our 2 small dogs. My mother asked if I wanted her to stay with me at night, thinking I would feel unsettled by myself, but that just wasn't my way. But about a month or 2 after moving in, I started hearing the closet door open. We had a mirror with metal hooks that hung over the closet door, and every time we would open the closet, it would rub against the top of the door frame and make a loud screeching noise. I would be sleeping in bed with the baby in his bassinet nearby, and our dogs on the floor next to the foot of the bed. The first time I heard it, it was probably around 2 or 3 in the morning. I heard the loud screeching noise of the closet door open, and I sat up looking at the closet door. It was now open about 6 inches. I looked down at the dogs and they were awake, looking at the closet. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, and eventually I went back to sleep. It happened about 5 more times within the next couple of months. I told my husband, and I think it spooked him more than it did me. On one of his days off, while we were asleep at night, we heard the screeching of the door open. He sat straight up in bed and just stared at the closet door. Nothing else happened. I just went back to sleep, but it seemed to bother him, and he was awake most of the night after that. The last time it happened was about 2 months after it started. Again, I was home alone sleeping with the baby and our dogs. I heard the door screech open, waking me up. I looked at the door, and it had opened its usual 6 inches or so, but then I heard the door continue to open. Suddenly, the dog started barking. One was barking away with his ears back and fur up. Our other dog, who was always the brave one, ran under the bed and started crying. I had never seen him scared of anything. Their reaction really scared me. The door, thankfully, stopped opening when the dog started barking. That night, I had trouble sleeping. I told my husband, and he put a lock on the closet door. I made sure I closed and locked the closet door every night. A year later, I again found myself alone at home. My husband was working and my son was with my parents. I walked by the closet door when I noticed it ajar. I no longer liked to leave it open, so I tried to close it. I say try because the wood on the closet door had started to warp, making it swollen and hard to close. I had to lean against it and push the weight of my body against the door to try to close it. Then I started banging along the edges of the door to try and get it to close and latch. In between one of those bangs, there was a big bang on the other side of the closet door, at the height of my shoulder, as if somebody hit it with their fist really hard. I could feel the vibration of this bang against my body since I was leaning up against the door. I still had my hand in the air. I stepped away from the closet. I didn't know what to think, and I lowered my hand. I tried to keep cool and went into the living room and sat down in front of the TV. I was too spooked. I was only seated about 30 seconds when I got up to go to my parents' house. I didn't mention this to them. I felt silly telling them that I think there's a ghost in my closet. After that, I had my dad sand down the closet door so that it could close correctly. I always locked it, and I made sure to never bang on it again.